Welcome back to another Raiderland podcast. Ryan Hyatt along with Travis Cram today. Today we examine the question everybody is examining. No, not the Electoral College. No, we're talking about Pat Mahomes and whether he should go pro. Playing the role of I'm staying at Texas Tech and getting another year under my belt is Travis Cram. I'll be playing the role of I'm ready to get paid. I'm ready for my money. All right, we'll start it off with you, Travis. Give me the single best argument Pat Mahomes stays at Texas Tech.
He's not ready. I think you could judge that by some of the games he's played and some of the decisions he's made this year in those crucial games. And I'm not talking about defenses that were obviously a little bit less than good, such as Oklahoma or Stephen F. Austin or Louisiana Tech or Kansas even. I'm talking about the way he played against teams like West Virginia, against Kansas State. Even the Texas game. I mean, how many people saw the play at the end? And how many times during the year did he make decisions like that where it was 3rd and 6 and all he needs is 6 yards and he's trying to throw it 30 yards downfield? And I think, you could attribute some of the things to the shoulder injury and obviously now maybe possibly a wrist injury as far back as the Oklahoma game. So I think for me, it's just I don't think he's ready to be an NFL quarterback and he could just play a year more, bump up his stats, and maybe even make his stock a little bit better.
Yeah, see, and I'll counter that by saying I don't think anybody's ever ready. I don't think Dak Prescott was ready. I don't think Troy Aikman was ready. You're only ready once you get to the NFL. Some people more ready than others, obviously. I think for me, if I'm Pat Mahomes, I'm looking at this and going, I've got to strike while the iron is hot. If you believe that this is the moment, you look at the number of quarterbacks in the draft that you're competing against and the teams that will be out there drafting, I don't know that his stock will ever be higher. I look at a guy with the physical abilities that he has. He's not going to get a stronger arm. He's not going to get taller. He's not going to get stronger. Now, he might do some quarterbacky things better, but that will come in time. And I think if I'm Mahomes, I'm looking at this year and I'm thinking, this is the draft I want to be in. You look at teams that may need a quarterback desperately, obviously Cleveland, Chicago. There are going to be teams that might be willing to take a guy that's slotted 3rd round, 2nd, or who knows, depending on what happens now between now and then. So I would say I think the iron's hot, strike right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. I mean, I have to admit, this is one year where you're looking and saying, yeah, judging by the way the NFL season's gone, there's a lot of teams that want a quarterback or are going to need a quarterback soon because their quarterback is getting older. You mentioned Cleveland. Chicago's one. I think Green Bay is going to have to start thinking about who's the heir to the throne after Aaron Rodgers. It's been 10 years, 11 years now with him. So
you've actually got a lot of teams that are kind of getting some long-in-the-tooth quarterbacks.
That's right.
Whether it's, Drew Brees can't play forever. Mm-hmm. Phillip Rivers can't play forever.
Tom Brady, well, he might be able to play
Tom Brady can play forever.
I'm convinced he might be able to play forever.
He's
but
genetically engineered.
But you hit it there. So, but part of that is that search and what you're allowed to do with an agent prior to signing with an agent is they can sit there and get a feel for the draft and see where you might go. And if they're sitting there going, look, you're probably looking at 3rd or 4th round, but maybe you could go 2nd round next year if your stock is up a little more, because let's remember one thing. For all intents and purposes, Jared Goff was the number 1 guy in Division I football last year. Nobody at the beginning was probably taking into account Carson Wentz and his chances of being a better quarterback. You can have a guy like a Joe Flacco suddenly pop up right before the combine or during the combine, and then everyone gets knocked down a peg or two. A lot of people are hot on the North Carolina quarterback right now. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's going to be a popular one. So I think where he finds himself in that order right now is going to play a big part with his search committee and whether or not he decides to sign an agent and declare for the draft.
I also look at next year's Tech squad, and it might be somewhat better. It might not. It might be very similar. I would be, if I'm in the Pat Mahomes camp, very worried about another year of injury, another year of getting beat up, and maybe regressing a little on the stats front. That's going to be hard to duplicate what he did, even beat up this year. But I think the worst knock he could get this time next year, he's fragile. He's been hurt.
Yep.
He's damaged goods. That'll cost you money. I would be worried about that.
And I think if that's the case, you have to do what Matt Leinart and Sam Bradford and a lot of guys did, and that's take out that $1 million policy on your body in case that happens, because you do want some kind of literally an insurance policy on that chance of having an injury. Because let's look at Tech's offensive line. You're probably going to spend half the season running for your life again. You're going to have to replace a lot of guys. You're going to get some guys back that finally got some experience, but at the same time, hey, if you're Cliff Kingsbury, you're probably praying Pat Mahomes comes back with everything that's going to be riding on this next season in his job.
Yeah. If you're Pat Mahomes, though, and you do come back, what's the one thing that you've got to have happen for you? How do you get better?
That's a great question. I think decision making. I think there were times where he has so much success in his percentages, and you look at what his percentage of completions are. But a lot of that are just those 5 and 6 yard dink and dunk passes that add up, because you should hit those passes right in front of you. What he needs to get better at is stretching the field and being accurate when he stretches the field. I'm not talking about jump balls in the end zone and Hail Mary prayers, out to Jonathan Giles, because that saved his butt a lot of times, I think, this year. I think you got to get better at those 15 to 20 to 25 yard passes that you have to make in the NFL and show that zip on the ball, because we know he has the arm strength, but let's see him show that arm strength with that accuracy and move around in the pocket a lot better. His footwork has got to get better.
Last thought here. What is bigger and more important to Texas Tech football as a whole? Pat Mahomes coming back in maybe a 6 or 7 win team, or Pat Mahomes in an NFL jersey on an NFL field with Texas Tech next to his name, being the first quarterback, proving that it's not a gimmicky air raid system?
That's a great question. I don't know. I think if you're Texas Tech, you want Pat Mahomes back for a 7-win season. I think if you're the future of the program looking at this, yeah, there's nothing better than seeing and touting Michael Crabtree and Danny Amendola and now Kerry Hyder, and the success he's having with the Lions this year.
Kerry Hyder.
You've got to have those faces in the NFL.
So I think that's more important than a 6 or 7 win bowl season.
I think you're probably right. I think in the long term,
because kids will see Pat Mahomes, Texas Tech quarterback, NFL, and go, I can go there and do that.
And go to the NFL
I think
draft.
that's been the last hurdle to get over for Texas Tech.
Because you haven't
been having
had
that
one.
guy, that face guy.
That's right.
You look around the Big 12 and other teams around here, and almost all of them have somebody in the last 10 years or whatever that they've been that guy. They've been a starting quarterback in the league. Maybe not real good, maybe a Zeno, maybe a Tannehill, but you know what? They're there.
They're there.
I think Tech needs that guy. I would say I would value that more. Hey, we can win 6 or 7 games with you or without you, probably.
Yep.
Sad but true.
It is sad
because of what you're limited with on the upside. All right, final thoughts before we get out of here today?
I'll let you go first.
All right. Let's see. My final thought is I'm running out of things to get the 5th grader for Christmas that are not incredibly expensive drones or hoverboards or just electronic gadgets. So if anybody has any suggestions, please let me know.
I'm all about Amazon shopping. It is my.
Yeah, you actually don't ever leave the house during the week. You
no,
get out
there's no
twice
point.
a week. You go buy flour and
That's right.
cornbread. That's about it.
Cereal every once in a while.
Once in a while for
some
the kids.
Milk. I can usually find some kid on the street to go get me milk if I need it. All right. Honestly, I will concede one thing. One thing. If there is one thing that could benefit Pat Mahomes, rather than playing an extra year in college and getting better, is maybe sitting in an NFL system and getting better and learning it and possibly working on his mechanics with an NFL coach. Because if they truly think he has the talent, which you cannot coach, they can fix everything else and give him some time to sit under a good quarterback and watch and learn. But I don't think he is one of those guys that is plug and play ready right now.
I tend to agree. And I think they'll value measurables first and then figure out if they can coach him up after that.
And let's admit it, his athleticism, he's going to have a fantastic day at the combine.
I was about to say, if he's at the combine, he will go from whatever round he's in to 1 or 2 rounds.
And he'll be lights out at the combine, I think.
Yeah, he's going to blow them away. All right, you guys drop us a line, hit the comment section. You like what we're doing, share it. You can put it on Twitter, Facebook, and let your friends know we're out here in Raiderland. There is no off season here, so we will continue on. See you guys soon.